Hi, everyone. When we're feeling down, most of us find it easier to focus on all the things going wrong in our lives instead of counting all our blessings and maintaining a positive mindset. While we cannot control what life throws at us sometimes, we do have the power to choose how we react. And how we react to a situation, person, or life will ultimately determine our attitude. When we react with gratitude, it will positively impact on our attitude. Today, we're going to discuss a powerful way gratitude changes attitude and how we can practice gratitude. So let me just stop right here for a moment and just say that I just want to say that practicing gratitude is a process. It's not something that is easy to do. Okay, a lot of advice that we all receive in life is sometimes easier said than done. So I just want to say that it is challenging, but the key is to start practicing, and then as we practice, it becomes a habit, and then later on, it does become easier. Okay. So, according to Cambridge Dictionary, the word gratitude is defined as the feeling or quality of being grateful. The following are 8 ways of practicing gratitude. The 8 ways will be represented by the spelling of the word grateful. Grateful. Okay, so we'll start off with G for gratitude journal. Keeping a gratitude journal is basically daily writing down all the positive things you're grateful for. This is a great habit to develop a positive mindset and reinforce your focus to the present moment. Some of us may have been traumatized by a negative event that happened in the past and may have become emotionally paralyzed to the extent that we have closed our hearts and have shut ourselves off from the world. We build a wall around our hearts and stay in a self protection preservation mode. When we do that, we don't see the world as safe and don't trust anyone. We then spend years of our lives living in fear and negativity. I would like to invite all of us to consider changing our mindset by starting a gratitude journal. Especially during times of distress and negative emotions, keeping a gratitude journal is an effective way to practice gratitude because it will force you to pay attention to the present and think of the blessings in your life. With consistent practice, it's a gradual process that will eventually shift your mindset and help you to maintain a healthy, happy, and positive, grateful attitude. Okay, and I'll be honest here, folks. I've never done a gratitude journal myself. However, it seems to be a common thing that a lot of people recommend. And so I would definitely encourage that. Um, but I also learned that having gratitude journal is something that can remind us when we forget all the blessings in our lives and all the positive things that have happened. Because it's in writing, you can always go back and refer to it. And on days that you need to be reminded of that, it's already there in writing, so you don't have to try to remember it. Okay. R for random act of kindness. For random acts of kindness. Oftentimes, when we are feeling down, we are focused on ourselves. But it's these times that we need to look outside of ourselves and realize that we are not alone. Many people may also be going through what we're going through, and some may even be going through much worse. So, when we become aware of our surroundings and the world around us, suddenly we may feel compassion and then do some random acts of kindness to brighten someone else's day. Look back at your life and see if you can think of a time when you were upset, but then felt humbled in your heart when you discovered someone else was going through much worse. Okay, and I just want to stop right here and share with you something that happened to me years ago. Years ago, when I was previously married, my ex and I had owned a small ice cream parlor, and we were a business owner for about 4 years of that business. And I remember one morning I just was not in a good mood. When you have those mornings where it doesn't start off good. It was one of those mornings, if I recall, that my ex and I had a disagreement. So we started off the morning on a wrong foot. I went into the ice cream parlor not in a good mood, and I was definitely not in the mood to interact with customers. And for those of you who are small business owners, you know what I'm talking about, right? When you're a business owner, you have no choice but to put on your customer service face, smile at customers, and interact with customers, whether you are in the mood or not, right? That's just part of the territory of being a business owner, especially if it's a service oriented kind of business. And so, being that I own an ice cream parlor, or I should say, my ex and I own the ice cream parlor. It, you know, I it was it was open every day. So I that morning I recall not really being in the mood of having to smile and interact with the customers. Well, to make a long story short, I went into work that morning not feeling too happy, and so what happened was a little later in the morning, I this lady was this middle aged woman was walking through the door, and I noticed she was on crutches. And so I noticed that, she was as was walking towards the door, it was taking her a while to get to the entrance. So I quickly went around the counter to open the door for her and let her in. And she was very grateful. She was very, very grateful that I did that. And to me, it wasn't really anything. That's something that I think everyone should do, as a simple act of, uh, compassion and courteous and consideration for those who are, slightly handicapped or are not able to walk, right? And so as she came in, she was just thanking me and being very apologetic that, that I had to come around and open the door for her, which to me wasn't anything. I was very happy to have helped her out, right? But as we get onto conversation, she proceeded to tell me how she ended up in crutches. And so we sat there for about 15 minutes as she shared with me candidly that she was a nurse and in a hospital. And one day she didn't see there was a puddle of water in front of her. So when she walked and slipped, she fell on both knees, on both of her knees. And apparently both her knees were shattered. And so the reason why she was on crutches that day was because she had just gotten through the first knee surgery on one of her knees. And she had shared that after this one knee heals, she'll have to go back and get her other knee operated on and replaced. So, and I was just totally blown away with everything she was saying. I really felt bad for her. My heart opened up, and I felt a lot of compassion for this woman, right? And she was telling me that it totally changed her life. That prior to this accident, her and her husband used to walk their dogs every day after work, and she was very active. And so subsequently from this accident, she said that it totally changed her life. She wasn't able to be as active as she used to be, and she was no longer able to walk her dogs with her husband. And so I really felt bad. I felt sorry for her. Really, truly. I mean, she wasn't even that old of a lady. I mean, at that time, I was in my late 40s, or maybe mid 40s. I'm trying to remember how old I was. I think it was my mid to late 40s, and she was in her mid 50s. And then she was sharing with me how she was very grateful for my courtesy and my politeness, because she said other business owners in locally were not as kind to her, which I was kind of surprised. I mean, I didn't interact with a lot of business owners, close to me at the time, but just I believed what she was telling me, and she said that she just kept thanking me for my kindness, um, and so that was an interesting morning to say the least, and it did humble me totally after the kind of morning I had. It was nothing in comparison to what she was going through. Um, so I listened intently as she told me about her unfortunate experience. That that customer was so thankful for me opening the door for her and then taking the time to hear her story and to offer words of encouragement. Most of us tend to think that random acts of kindness usually mean the giving of money. Sometimes random acts of kindness don't involve giving money, but just merely being present and compassionate and showing empathy to those who need it the most. When that customer left, I felt humbled because whatever problems I was going through that morning paled significantly in comparison to what that customer was currently going through. And afterwards, I felt grateful for being there for her when I wasn't in the mood to deal with customers on that day. So remember, the next time you're feeling stressed or having a bad day, take a moment to look around and realize you're not alone. Random acts of kindness not only are a great way to practice gratitude, but also changes your attitude. A for appreciation. For most of us, we take so much for granted. We take our friends, family, loved ones, and even our life for granted. When I stood by my best friend last year as he was battling with cancer, I realized life is something we sadly take for granted until it's too late. Simply being able to breathe normally, see clearly, hold a cup of coffee, taste the coffee, eat your favorite foods, smell the fresh air, and having the ability to walk to wherever you want are all examples of things in our life we take for granted. Other similar examples are having good health, great friends, loving family, dependable job, roof over your head, a vehicle for transportation, money in the bank, and your value in this world. Negative self talk can happen when we fail to recognize and nurture our own value and self worth. We are born into a life with the opportunity to live to our fullest potential so that we can share our love and gifts with the world. All experiences, whether good or bad, can positively contribute to our personal and spiritual growth, depending on if we can learn and appreciate the lessons along the way. Growing pains are always painful, but they assist us to evolve in a better, more authentic version of ourselves. Let's not wait until the end of our lives to appreciate everything, whether big or small, in our lives. Appreciation is a powerful way to practice gratitude and change our attitude. T for thankfulness. Are we truly thankful for the things and people in our lives? Again, it's easy to take for granted of all the people who love us and consistently show up for us every day. We subconsciously think our loved ones will be there always. We forget to be thankful for the little ways our loved ones have added value to our lives. We forget to say thank you for the smallest kind words or thoughtful actions by others. When good things happen to us, do we stop, feel thankful, and feel amazed of how the universe has blessed us? And for those of us who believe in God, are we thankful to our Creator when blessings come our way? By practicing thankfulness, it will keep our minds and hearts pure and open to the goodness of life. E for emotional regulation. It's important to be aware of our emotions at any given moment. Are we feeling positive, calm, happy, peaceful, relaxed, understood, valued, respected, heard? Or are we feeling negative, anxious, stressed, unsettled, misunderstood, judged, disrespected, invisible? Our feelings are directly tied to the attitudes, decisions, and actions we take in life. As most of us can imagine, it's nearly impossible to feel gratitude when we're feeling negative emotions. As a matter of fact, the continual focus on feeling bad will tend to further have our attitude spiraling downwards. And if we're not aware of our feelings and they go unchecked for a long period of time, it could possibly lead to destructive emotions of panic, despair, hopelessness, and depression. It's important to keep in mind that professional counseling is very helpful for those who just need a little help to deal with traumatic events that happen in our lives from time to time. Sometimes we just need a neutral, safe emotional space to work through and heal our emotions so we can gain clarity and perspective. There is no shame to seek counseling. Investing in our own mental health is a worthy investment and sometimes necessary in maintaining our emotional regulation. Practicing emotional regulation will keep our mental health and attitude at an even keel so we can be open to the spirit of gratitude. Okay, and I just want to say that it's normal, folks. We're all human, and things happen in life sometimes, and some things could be real significant and tragic or traumatic that we just need sometimes just to seek counseling and just for temporary just to get a little more perspective and help. And I'm not too proud to say that I actually did that too. When I when my best friend passed last August, I did seek a grief counselor for about 3 months. And I'm glad I did. Although I had friends I could talk to and lean on for emotional support, you know, I having a neutral outside party was also very helpful. And so I just want to encourage all of us that if you are going through some tough times, whether you have an emotional support group, or family or loved ones, or if you don't, or even if you do have one, you may consider still investing your time and money into a professional counselor. Okay. Oftentimes they have the experience, they know how to counsel you. They know how to guide you to heal and to grieve. And they a lot of times they can be a great resource because they are neutral. And so um, I would just encourage that. F for finding fulfillment. Having a sense of purpose and fulfillment in our lives is important to our overall well-being and sustaining a positive attitude. Feeling excessive boredom feeling excessive boredom or loneliness can lead to profound feelings of isolation and unworthiness. So it's important that we find fulfillment in our lives. Finding fulfillment is doing the things that make us happy or we find enjoyment in. If we don't have a clue on what fulfills us, then it's time to do some exploring, trying new things, activities, and hobbies. We are all born with unique talents and skills. For many of us, we have spent many years pleasing others at the expense of our own personal happiness, that we don't have any idea what pleases us. The good news is that it's never too late to start our journey of personal discovery and fulfillment. Finding fulfillment is all part of self love and finding happiness from within. Personal fulfillment is key to being grateful. Okay, and now on this subject, as far as finding fulfillment, this is especially hard for those of us, especially moms who have devoted a lot of years raising children, taking care of their husbands, the household. Um, as they say, being a mom is a full time job too. Uh, and and so usually, for us women, when we're in that nurturing role, we tend to put others above ourselves, right? We tend to uh, we tend to every day we're investing in other people, pleasing other people, that we forget who we are. After so many years, we can forget what pleases us, what makes us happy. And so and that does take time to figure that out, right? When you spend many years thinking about others, you do lose a sense of yourself as far as what pleases you, right? So I think this is an important step for those of us who haven't had the time or the or uh haven't had the opportunity to find personal fulfillment for yourself. Okay. U for understanding. Seeking understanding and truth leads us to discernment and wisdom. It's important to learn the lessons in life so that we can have a grateful attitude to move forward with a loving and open heart. If we don't learn the lessons, then we will remain lost, develop a victim mentality, and continue repeating the same mistakes. Growing pains are never pleasant, but they are essential to our personal and spiritual growth. It's always easier to be grateful when we're going through the good times. Likewise, being grateful during the challenging times is also possible if we look for the lessons and gain understanding. Okay, and so this is another way that we can also arrive at being grateful, or at least having a grateful heart. Um, I know many of us who've have been through a lot of relationships or heartbreaks or just endings, whether it's a divorce, right, or a long-term relationship. It can be very, very traumatic and painful, a lot of emotional pain. And how we can get over the hurdle of that pain and eventually heal is by recognizing and learning from it. There's always, whether it's a good relationship or bad relationship, we can always learn something from it. The lessons that we have to learn, otherwise we will instinctively, unconsciously repeat that mistake. Okay. And so I would encourage all of us that if you are going through some tough times right now and you just came out of a long-term relationship, or and you're feeling heartbroken, I would encourage you to take some time to really sit with yourself and really think about what you learned, what kind of understanding that you've gained from that relationship. And if you have trouble coping, then I would encourage you to seek counseling, and your counselor can work with you through these tough times and help you heal um, and learn the lessons and how those lessons can help you grow and strengthen um, your understanding of yourself so that you don't make the same mistake again in the future. Okay, L for live in the now. If we live in regrets of our past or fears of what lie ahead. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this again. If we live in regrets of our past or fears of what lie ahead in our future, we are just existing and not truly living in the present. It's important to live in the present. The present is all we have because none of us are guaranteed a tomorrow. How many of us put things off we can do or enjoy today, thinking there will be tomorrow? Just this week, I have viewed several YouTube videos of middle aged to older people who now have a terminal illness with only 2 weeks to 2 months uh, to live. And now sorrowfully regret their erroneous thinking that tomorrow will be there for them someday. Someday I'll climb that mountain, write that book, pursue my dream, spend more time with my loved ones, start a new skill or hobby, laugh more, work less, make up for lost time. Someday, someday, someday. Sadly, for some of us, someday never seems to come, and instead, our last days are filled with regret that we didn't choose to live in the now. How we get to this sad stage is when we choose to live in the trap of the future promises of some days and wishful thinking other things like money, fame, title, success can replace love and true happiness. We forget that there are always trade offs in life. There are no free lunches, as they say, and if we're not careful, we can easily get distracted and tempted by the entertainment and worldly pleasures of life and make the trade offs that cause us to focus on the future of someday instead of living in the now. We need to realize that time is something we can never get back. The time is now to begin practicing living in the present and allowing gratitude to change your attitude. In summary, while we may not control what life throws at us sometimes, what is within our control is our attitude and how we respond to life. Gratitude changes attitude when we remember the 8 ways of practicing gratitude. Keeping a gratitude journal, doing random acts of kindness, appreciation of all things, thankfulness for people and things, emotional regulation awareness, finding fulfillment, gaining understanding, and living in the now. Okay? So, folks, if you resonate with this video, please click like and click share. If you have any comments or you want to add to any thoughts that you may have regarding practicing gratitude, please, I welcome your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can be kept posted of all my future videos. Okay? So again, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to watch my video, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye.